February 23rd, 2011. You're traded to New Jersey for Devin Harris and Derek Favors, first-round picks and some cash. How did you find out about it, and what was your thought process on leaving the place that you grew from a boy to a man in Utah?
Yeah, it was tough, man. That honestly, that shaped a lot of the next years for me, just because it was right after the situation that had happened with Coach Sloan. And so I was getting killed in the media, and I was in the training room in Dallas, in the hotel, taping for shoot-around. And we were watching SportsCenter because we were playing Dallas that night. I was on back home, got like 25, had a whole suite and like 20 other tickets to the game. And all of a sudden it pops across the screen because Melo had just been traded to the Knicks. And then it was like breaking news, Deron Williams traded to the Nets. And this is the first time I'd heard my name mentioned in the trade. And so I called my agent. I was like, hey, this just happened. Like, what's going on? He was like, I don't know. This is my first time hearing it. So he gets on the phone and then calls me back in like 5 minutes. He's like, yeah, you got traded. And so it was like, unexpected.
So you go there, you go to a team that's not really doing anything. You sign a big extension the next season there. You guys move to Brooklyn. Jay-Z's in the mix. The win now mentality starts taking over. What was that transition like going to Brooklyn with this new energy? And like you said, at first you didn't have no hope, but then there's actually, you see like there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely had the win now mentality, and we're trying to do whatever they could to put together a championship team. I think that was always his goal from the start when he took over the team, and kind of had an unlimited budget. And so, you saw him spending money and doing different things. And, it was definitely a different buzz when we moved to Brooklyn, around the team. And, Jay-Z was there, a lot of games and opened up the arena, with 7 straight concerts. And it was just a lot of energy in the building, something that we really didn't see in New Jersey. And it was fun.
Yeah, that's dope. So what's your mindset? 2013, you guys pick up KG and Paul Pierce. Obviously, the win now mentality. What were your initial thoughts hearing that you're getting, 2 future Hall of Famers?
Man, I was excited, and it didn't work out, and that's what everybody looks at. But I easily feel like it could have worked out just the same. We just were hit with injuries. Brooke had ended up breaking his foot and was out most of the season. Paul had got hurt. I started out the season hurt. Injury just kind of hit us. KG is one of the toughest dudes I've ever been around, man. I mean, there was days where it's like he was dragging his knee, around in practice. And they'd have to kick him off the court. The trainers had to come out there and like physically remove him off the court because he didn't want to get off the court and would be mad. And so it's one of those things where we started out the season terrible. I mean, we were like the laughingstock of the league for a while and end up, having a great second half of the season and then end up losing to a Miami team who obviously won the championship. But, I feel like as much flack as we got for not being what we should have been, it could have, if the injuries didn't happen the way they did,
right.
We could have been really
I mean,
good.
that was you at the point, Joe at the 2, Paul at the 3, KG at the 4, and Brooke at the 5, right?
Yeah.
You was waived by the Nets and they bought you out. What were you thinking after that?
It was kind of a mutual thing where I thought it was time for me to go. I felt like my time ran its course there. I was dealing with injuries. I wasn't playing up to my contract, which was not. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it was true. And I just needed kind of a fresh start. I kind of at that point I started really not loving the game, just because, it wasn't even like everybody thinks, I couldn't handle New York. It wasn't that. It wasn't the media. It was more the pressure that I put on myself. Had a lot going on in my home life that, people don't know about or would never know about. And so it was just something where I just needed a change of scenery and ended up going to Dallas, back home, and kind of found that love for the game again.
Touch on this because we had a chance to talk to Isaiah Thomas about this, and you briefly touched on it, but the mental of this game is out of this world. I coach my kids now, and I tell them, everybody could play. What's going to set you apart and get you to that next level is that mental approach. So when your mental is still as strong as it's ever been, but then injuries start piling up. Like, how tough is that to kind of deal with? Because like you said, it wasn't shit about the media. Everyone says the New York media is tough. If you could hoop, you could hoop. But when your mind is as sharp as it's ever been, but your body is still not there, how tough is that for an elite player like yourself?
Well, it's tough, man. For me, it's like you said, I had these injuries and it just kept happening. It was just like little nagging. It's like I never had to, tear the ACL and have to come back. It was just always like I had the chronic ankle sprains and my ankles were swelling up the size of softballs at night. I could barely walk up the stairs. And then I would go to do a layup and it's like I'm not even getting any lift on my layups. I can't get to spots where I'm normally used to getting to. And it's kind of like you get that self-doubt. Once that self-doubt creeps in, it's something that I had never really had. I'd always been able to, all right, I had a bad game, I'm going to shake it off. But these games, started piling up and started messing with you. And then I remember when I was in New York when D Rose was going through his stuff and he thought about walking away from the game. And I had already had that thought, several times where it's like, man, like my mental is so messed up that I was just like, is it even worth it anymore? I'll walk away right now. They can have the money. I don't care. That stuff kind of started setting in. And so when we came up with the resolution of the buyout, I was excited because I gave up some money, but I just needed a fresh start. I needed a different perspective.